Hey everyone, welcome back to automation. So today we're going to stick to the standard automation formula, except there's going to be a lot more BeamNG because this is the drag race car from a couple weeks ago. You may remember it as the video that was the introduction to the drag race showcase, and also extremely popular for some reason, just drastically more popular than a lot of my other stuff. But that was very exciting to see. I figured that today I would try to address some of the comments in that last video because I've learned a lot since the drag race showcase, and I think it's time that we took some of those ideas and applied them to this build specifically. So why don't we do some stuff to this? This is a cloned version of it, by the way, so I still have the OG to make it better and hopefully the fastest drag car I have ever seen. Quick recap, this is the all-out drag race showcase. Well, it's finished now, but the stream is posted. I'll link it in the description and also in a comment if you want to see that, plus the first video as well. But this thing is a Holden, it's not an Opel, so I'm actually going to fix that. Holden VK, I believe is what it's called. This is the Test 1 clone and all that. We'll leave that clone stuff, it doesn't particularly matter. But it's 6,400 horsepower, all-wheel drive actually, although rear-wheel drive is seemingly faster. It weighs 1,715 kilos, and it has a 15.6 liter V12, which is ridiculous, but also just nuts and probably a little bit too much turbo underneath because, yeah, it's quad turbo, as you would expect. Now, I made a few errors with this car, and what I'm going to do today is we're going to make a couple of adjustments and change the color of the car as well so that we can determine if it's actually faster or not with different setups, because I think that's kind of important. Last time I didn't touch the spacing at all, which is really significant. I do need to mess with that. First thing I'm going to change is we're going down from 7 speed to 4 speed because the shifting was just way too much last time. You can see we get up to 203 kilometers an hour in first gear, which is ridiculously quick, and that's good because that's just linear speed. We have a ridiculous amount of torque, so we should be able to power through gears even starting in the top gear. Obviously I need to shift a lot faster, and that's going to be a key in this because, I mean, it's a dual clutch, I think. Yeah, dual clutch. So it shifts by itself most of the time, but I'm going to try and do manual shifting as well to see if that's quicker. The fastest car in the drag race showcase was a dual clutch, so believe me, the transmission, when tuned properly, can be quicker than I can. So what I want to do is a test in all-wheel drive, and then I'm going to do the same thing for a test in rear-wheel drive just to make sure that we know which one is actually quicker. So we'll have 2 test vehicles basically. And just to make sure I know which is which, I'm putting a very large all-wheel drive on the back in a strange text format. So that should hopefully be an easy way to determine this selection between the two. Plus I'm going to change the color. It's currently like a silverish thing. It's going to be like a blue, maybe something like that. So I think the most reasonable way to set this thing up, at least in terms of the gear spacing, is to make it so that the car will shift once in the actual like drag strip. It seems weird, but with only 4 gears we should be able to hang on the gears for quite a while. We still need good acceleration. Obviously the track is a quarter mile, it's not super long, so it's important to accelerate as fast as we can. And if I just have maximum spacing, we'll do 400 kilometers in first gear, which is insane. So that's just not going to work. I think somewhere here is actually best, so it'll shift possibly 3 times. I don't know if we're going to crease that 430 kilometers an hour by the time we hit the end of the quarter mile, but I'm going to try it and we'll see what happens. Power distribution is still 70-30, although I'm not convinced that that's actually quicker. I'm thinking we drop this a little bit closer to the 50-50 mark, probably exactly 50-50, and we'll see what happens. So the car has already lost a little bit of weight. It's 1685 now, but I have some ideas to make it lose a little bit more weight because that's going to be key. So brakes, I mean, I gave it actual brakes, but if we're going full commitment here, then we don't need any brakes. Literally nothing, just like the smallest possible brakes that we can get, and that should shave off 10 kilos. Not much, but it's something. So I currently have 1 full-size seat and our weight is 1675. If I go here and go half seats, and the weight is the same. Okay, so apparently it doesn't matter. We don't need power steering. We don't need ABS. I think that's probably going to screw things up dramatically, so let's just get rid of all that stuff. So there are some kind of ridiculous tricks that you can do to make things not break in BeamNG, because with the advanced settings in the fixtures options, you can increase the wheel size, but it doesn't actually do anything in BeamNG, at least in theory, because one of the cars, and actually the fastest car in the entire showcase, I believe, had a bit of a trick to it where the wheels were as wide as possible in automation settings, and then as shrunk as reasonable in this setting stuff here. Okay, I just messed up the brake rotation apparently. It doesn't exactly matter, but the settings were different there to make the wheels appear to be a lot thinner. So whatever the case that was, it worked extremely well, and the car had ridiculous traction with very thin wheels. A little bit of an exploit there. So yeah, one of the problems with this car is I can't get the widest wheels possible on it, and that's one of the things that's sort of hanging me up a little bit. It's okay though. I think what I'm going to do for the backs is I'm going to drop it down to 16s on the back, just to hopefully make it not weigh as much, at least in theory, and then slightly bigger wheels. And that'll be that, maybe? I guess we can send this thing off into BeamNG and see if our all-wheel drive variant is actually quicker or not. Oh yeah, there's one more thing that I wanted to do before we get into this too much, but I want to go full race preset and then just make these things pretty much as stiff as possible. I know that doesn't seem quite right because we won't be able to soak up any bumps at all, but from what I've learned in my random testing in this game, even the hardest preset is not that hard, so this is going to be as good as it gets, I think. So you probably noticed I didn't make any engine changes, and that's because I want to try our first initial runs without any engine changes. If I can break like, I don't know, a 6.3 maybe, even lower than that, then I'll be happy. I'd love to get into the 5-second mark, but I'm not sure that this car has that in it. 6,500, or it's closer to 6,400 horsepower is probably enough, but one of the things that I'm struggling with a little bit is that this engine is huge and it weighs way too much. I can get this amount of power out of a smaller engine, and that's probably going to be better. But realistically, we'll just stick with this for now. So this is the rear-wheel drive version, which I'm calling the Holden VK2. This one's going to be a little bit more interesting because, well, I'll make it green to start with. So we have a little bit of different coloring, but I should probably change this too. Rear-wheel drive, yes please. So rear-wheel drive means we have a couple more options to tune this thing differently. So if we go to the drivetrain, rear-wheel drive, which changes our engine a little bit. You can see it's kind of sunken in a little bit there. It raises it up when it's all-wheel drive, and I wonder if that means something. 4-speed still, so we'll have the same changes that we did last time, but the gearing and all that stuff is going to have to be different. And our front tires can be extremely thin because we don't really need much going on with this. Also, these rim offset pieces, they actually have weight to them, so we kind of want none. You can see our weight now is 1443. That is much, much less than all-wheel drive. We've lost like 200 kilos, so that's going to make a big difference with the same power. So 1443, and then if we give this some offset, let's just put it on the offset that I would kind of want it to sit at, which is approximately here-ish, then it's 1452. So it doesn't add that much, but it is enough that it's like, you know what, we're taking it out. I'll just move it with the advanced slider. Now those look like proper drag wheels. I was having issues with them exploding, which is great. So I decided to fix that just by making them a little bit wider, but they're just wide enough, trust me on that. Hopefully they don't explode too much. Oh yeah, the reason I'm using carbon ceramic brakes is because they're the lightest. You can see there as I flip through these that they're lighter just by a little bit than the most basic drum brakes. I've done some minor adjustments to the aero. I just took it away basically, so we have no wing angles and basically a little bit of uplift at certain speeds. Shouldn't make much of a difference. I'm hoping that those wings on there will just be decorative for the purposes of this. But to make the rear wheel drive stand out, I think we're going to have to do a little bit of tweaking here with the gearing. So it's currently running 170 in first gear, and then it's pretty much the same. I'm just going to drop this down a little bit for the rear wheel drive because the wheel spin on this is going to be absolutely mental, and that's probably going to be the hardest thing to control. So having a little bit less spacing, or in this case it's greater spacing, I don't know, automation's weird, but hopefully that'll make it just run a little bit better. But I don't know, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? So without touching the engine, I think that's pretty much everything we can do. The rear wheel drive version is 1444 kilos, which is significantly less, with the same power, just with a different power distribution, with it all being at the back. So I'm interested to see if 50/50 is better than just straight rear wheel drive. And because I like you guys, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different here with this one, which is going to be our final car. Let's make something that has a decent amount of power, but is at least reasonably drivable. This thing has 6,400 horsepower. I want to make something that is lighter and hopefully quite a bit smaller that has similar power. So let's see what I can do. You know what? Heck it, we're going full on Australian street cred. We're twin turbo inline-six for no reason in particular. I'm just gonna see. This is it says mega power. It's gonna have like half the power of the V12, but I don't know, man. Just pretend that they took a saw, cut that V12 in half, and they had an inline-six, and they're like, sick, let's run this. And that's basically exactly what happened. I like when the cars make so much power that they're having a torque reliability threshold issue. You can see our maximum torque to actually maintain the threshold is 3,040. I'm making quite a bit more than that for quite a while, so we're having some problems. The turbo lag is also insane, but yeah, don't worry about it. I'm making it worse. It makes so much torque that everything wants to die. This is way too fun. Let me turn down the RPM a little bit here, because I think that'll fix some of its problems. Oh yeah, there you go. That's half the problems fixed right there. Okay, so it makes 3,000 horsepower an hour, which is pretty ridiculous, and I think that's probably going to be good enough. If we turn off VVT... Oh, we lose power. Okay, so right back on with that VVT. Up to 3,000 horses. A lot of problems, but it should drive. Honestly, the turbo is having exploding issues, but not a big deal. As long as we make it down the stage, that's all I care about. One time, rebuild the engine, do it again. By the way, that cut 400 kilos off of the weight, which is massive and extremely important for the development of this car, because now it has some big holes in it. It also means that it might be quicker, question mark, weighing so much less. That's like a third of the weight gone. It's going to matter significantly, and I'm very curious to see if this actually does anything. I just got to re-gear it and all that, and then let's get into BeamNG. So welcome to BeamNG, where we have an interesting lineup here. This is a lot of different colors represented in terms of paint, but a lot of different drivetrains as well. This is the OG as you know it, and it's fairly fast. I believe I was able to do a 6.49 something on the drag strip. We're going to try and repeat that, at least on the West Coast one instead of this one here. And then obviously our other variants came in just fine. I have them all off because if I didn't, you would be deafened right now. So I think what we should do, first of all, is just drive them around a little bit. I'm going to go for one pass each on the strip here, and then I'll actually get into the time trial. I want to make sure that the cars actually work first. So this car is ridiculously loud, and the sound is broken on it as well, so don't be too alarmed by that. Being a big V12, it has a little more than enough power to run through the drag strip on its own here. I don't exactly need timing lights to show you how fast it is, but first thing we're going to do is kick it up into sport mode. I'm going to hold myself on the brakes. I know that this is not a perfect drag start, but it is the drag start we used for the showcase, and that's what I'm going to be doing again for this challenge. But this car basically hangs on every gear and absolutely flies through the quarter mile at a ridiculous pace. Now, if I try and shift those gears myself, It's going to be a little bit different, so let's just see what that looks like. Keep in mind that this car is all-wheel drive, and this has the big boy V12. So up in the manual mode, and I'm going to have to be quick here. I'm not sure that this is actually faster. Holy crap, it rips. And it does get up to 400 kilometers by the time you hit the end of there. So for those other cars, I'm not so sure. It might be interesting. Okay, next one. Let's try out the rear-wheel drive variant. I'm curious to see what that does. Seeing as it's supposed to be quite a bit lighter and hopefully a bit faster. It says it has ESC, but it doesn't. Oh wow, it has 0 traction is what it does have. Absolutely no grip at all. It's like driving on ice, and that's exactly what I want. Still with the dual clutch this time, I'm keeping it just because I like the options. The ability to go for sport mode is definitely something. Okay, here we go. Okay, the wheel spin is too much, maybe? Our tires are deflating, yeah. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. I'm gonna do a non-showcase start this time and just kind of have it sitting on sport mode. And we'll just go like this. Yeah, oh my goodness, the traction is virtually non-existent. It had so much power and nothing to do with it other than burn the wheels as fast as possible. That is definitely a problem with this chassis, and the fact that I can't get the widest possible wheels on there. You can see that they're broken. In BeamNG, that just means that they're flat. Okay, next one in the lineup is actually our rear-wheel drive car with the Inline-six, but I don't want to run that one. Instead, I want to run the next V12, the all-wheel drive variant, which is theoretically improved from our previous all-wheel drive variant. And I just want to make sure that this one still works. I think out of all of the cars that I've made so far today, this one will probably be the fastest. So let's just see if it is. Showcase start this time, and off the line like a rocket ship. Only 4 gears in this car. Oh my goodness, the engine broke. Oh, the wheel exploded and the engine broke. Actually, both rear wheels exploded, and the engine is entirely gone. And the car flipped in the air a little bit. That was wild. All right, one more time. No showcase start this time. Just rev it up. And then as soon as you get on that power, it disintegrates the wheels and launches itself in the air. Oh my goodness. I wasn't expecting this. Okay, just by virtue of being the only car that'll likely make it down the strip, this 3,000 horsepower variant with the Inline-six is feeling much, much lighter, and it is much, much lighter, so I'm hopeful that this will be the ticket. It looks the part, though. This thing looks wicked. Okay. Oh, the noise it makes is strange. Very, very weird noise. And it does the same thing where it busts the tires. Oh man. It actually breaks the entire wheels. That might be a bit of an issue, but the car itself, pretty quick. So for the purposes of setting a benchmark, I'm going to be running the original car on the exact strip that we did the showcase on. It's just the drag strip on the West Coast USA map using the time trial. You can see the fastest time I was able to achieve is a 5.490, which is ridiculous, and about a second faster than I've ever been able to do with this car, and that's basically pulling out all the stops and doing things that were illegal in the showcase. So yeah, wish me luck. Alright, here we go. I'm going to give this one a few attempts so we can have our baseline, and then we will attempt to improve on that. I've got to try to remember the time for all 4 of these cars to see which one is actually the fastest. However, I think you're going to know. Alright, let's go for the run. Wait a minute. Let's get rid of this ESC first. This is just not going to work. And that means it goes off immediately as soon as the timer starts. Absolutely ridiculous. Come on. 6.7. Oof, that is slow. Slow by my standards. See, the car drives nice and straight. It's a good driving drag car. Very smooth. But 6.8, that is just not fast enough, man. Okay, let me try and do something with the manual. 6.681 with manual, and that was probably a pretty crappy shifting time. I'm going to try that one more time and just bang the gears every time because it hits that speed constantly. Okay, I was a little bit early from 5th to 6th, and it definitely showed, but still a pretty ridiculous time. So 6.6 is the fastest I was able to do with this setup, with this car, sport mode, and yeah, let's see if we can do better. Okay, so this is the all-wheel drive variant that we made just recently. It's the one with 4 speeds instead of 7, so it should theoretically be better. Different gearing, no brakes, it's lighter. Yeah, let's hope for the best here. Just keeping everything pretty much the same. Obviously that's off, and we'll hope for a little bit of a better time right out of the gate. I'll just try sport mode first and see how this goes. It takes off a little bit to the left when it starts. It jogs to the left, and then it explodes for a 6.9. Oof. Maybe this won't be the fastest. That is 0.3 seconds slower than my best time. Okay, this is a slightly different start. I tried to rev a little bit less at the beginning, and everything explodes for another 6.9. Oh my goodness. Huh. Apparently I had a pretty good combo going before because it wasn't exploding. Okay, this is definitely a failed run. Oh, when it hits a certain amount of torque, it just bombs. Dang, 7 seconds. Oof. I have definitely failed you on that one. That car is slow compared to my other stuff. I'm wondering if it didn't explode, if that would mean that the car actually is faster, but we're not gonna find out. Okay, let's go rear wheel drive and see what it'll do. Okay, here is the rear wheel drive variant. You remember before, this one is quite a bit lighter than its predecessor, except from our very brief testing it has a tendency to explode, which is great. The rear tires are probably at risk here. Let's see what it does just in sport mode. Oh, it doesn't want to shift. Oh my goodness. 9 seconds. Oof. Wow. That was horrible. Okay, I'm starting slowly this time, but man, it hangs on first gear for so long. Oh my goodness, it's bad. This is horrible. It needs that grip. Okay, I'm gonna start here and I'm gonna purposefully... Oh my goodness, it grenades as soon as you hit 3rd gear. Guys, I have mildly failed. More than mildly, I have significantly failed. These cars are pretty terrible. 9.4 seconds. Oh my goodness. There's only one car that can save me from this terribleness, and that is the Inline-6 version, which also has exploding wheels. Come on now. Okay, rear wheel drive Inline-6 variant. Let's see if this is actually better. It might actually be better just because it's not a disaster, but it might explode as well. Oh no, come on. It exploded, but it's actually better than its higher powered brother. 8.3 seconds. Which means that the reigning champion is still the first car, at least when shifted properly. 8.4 seconds again, at least it's consistent. I'm gonna try to shift this one myself and see if it makes a difference. Yeah, it makes a terrible difference because it explodes every time it hits 3rd gear. Oh my goodness. Everything I make is flawed. Okay, let's try and extract the absolute best time we can out of that first car. Okay, so this car definitely has the opportunity to go ridiculously quick. If I give it that chance, I'm gonna try... sport mode is gonna slow us down. No ESC, manual shifting, and we'll see what I can do up into manual mode. I'm gonna start here and just hit every single gear basically. 5th gear I have to wait a little bit longer on, but that's another 6.6. I bet I can do a 6.4 if I really push it. That's better. 6.6 again. Oh, so darn close. I was able to do a 6.4 once, but it might have been a time jump. I mean, people were kind of clowning on me before in the last video for not shifting it right. I think that they forgot that it's a dual clutch and I wasn't using manual mode, which is kind of awkward. But also, even when you shift this car right, you do gain 0.2 seconds, so it does make a big difference. But it has so many gears that it doesn't work, and then when you take away the gears, it seems to grenade itself. Because I think it makes too much torque in third gear to be able to maintain its axles the way that they're supposed to be, which is ridiculous. This car is absolutely bananas, and its fastest variant was the first one the whole time. 6.605, I think that's the fastest time I've done today, right there. And it wasn't even that crazy a time, it's just, that crazy a run, it's just like I have to get lucky with it basically to be able to do anything. This car is bananas, and I like it, and I hope you like it too. Well, today I was trying to do something good and make this car, at least a different variant of it, a little bit quicker, have hopefully something that is a little bit more manageable, but it turns out that's a little bit harder to do than I thought it was, because, well, the other variants of it just kind of explode constantly. If you happen to have a 6,400 horsepower drag car, I don't know how to help you. Apparently my tuning is not as good as I had hoped it would be, but obviously just because I make YouTube videos doesn't mean I know everything about cars. I still have a lot to learn, and I know that you do too. But anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. The drag series has come to an end for now, but I mean, if you're interested, I might try and do something else. We can try and do an open wheel car perhaps, or something with some ridiculous velocity potential. Velocity and also ridiculous acceleration combined together to make something deafeningly fast. I'm inventing new terms as I go here. But hey, before you leave any comments like do this, I would suggest that you buy this game, play it, and then see if your ideas actually work. Because the game isn't an exact parallel to real life. It's not perfect. It is a simulation in some aspects, but not everything is the same. So don't go too hard on me just yet. That being said, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Things are growing quickly right now, and I'm very excited about it. I'd love to see you join the community, and also like this video if you liked it. And leave a comment if you want to as well. I'll see you guys again next time when we make some more very, very strange stuff. I've got some weird ideas that I really want to share with you, so yeah, it's going to be good. Well, it's time that I thank those who have chosen to support this channel via the join button. Before we get into this, I was going to say that I was thinking about changing up the join button stuff a little bit, and messing with the tiers a little bit so that we can create it in a way that more people can join just by making it a lot cheaper, basically. So I was thinking of changing it to be $1, and then what I'm going to do is try to offer more perks, but they'll just be to everybody. So we'll see how that goes. I definitely will miss shouting out names at the end of the credits, though. It'll just be everybody all on one thing. So we'll see how that goes. If that's a bad idea, then let me know. But that's my current thinking. Who knows if I'll actually do it. Now, that being said, I've got some people I want to thank. We have Overlord, QT Bear, Terrio1, J Pope, Davis Heister, The German Dude, Nat64, Sinlab, Badger, Phoenix Shark, Baja Blast, Trevor Cousin, Goofy Plays, and Jared Grigg. Thank you everybody for your support. I appreciate it a lot, and I'll see you guys again next time.